in every capital of the Arab world. I visited Egypt right before 9/11, and I was horrified with the amount of radicalism and the hate speech against the West. And I came here, and I never heard that hate speech reflected to tell us what what was in store for us. And lo and behold, when 9/11 happened, the West was shocked, but it was coming from the world. So many facts in the 70s and the 80s, and it was brewing. And suddenly it happened, boom, on 9/11. But if we were prepared, taking the word seriously, we would have been prepared for 9/11. But we were not. And our media, until today, have self-censorship against what's going on right now. We have to stop this self-censorship.
Nani, thank you. We've got time for one last question. Sorry.
My name is Roger Haddad from the Middle East originally. I'm delighted to listen to you today. I want just to draw the attention to the Canadians. So many mosques are being built in Montreal. But keep your eyes, there are about 2 butchers around each mosque. And these butchers are being run by Muslims, fanatics. I hate to be giving this comment. And the last comment is a friend of man who talked about the Coptic Christians. The Coptic Christians, as you know, do not like to cause problems with their Muslims. So they like to be politically correct. But it's not the time. Yes, thank you.
Train them well to stay quiet. Even in America, they are quiet and speak up. Coptic Egyptians, speak up.
I just want to make a statement that we've been waiting long. You let people talk before me, and I was waiting in line before. You said there's 2 microphones, and I was waiting there with silence. Okay. My reaction is I'm very, very emotional about this. I think it was a fantastic forum, and really thank you for these ladies. But I have one question. Aren't we preaching to the converted here? Who's in the audience?
No, I'll answer that question. We're not preaching to the converted, and they'll tell you why, and I'll repeat the same thing this evening at a synagogue. It is not enough for you to be converted in your mind. What I said at the beginning was, I want people to leave here with anger and with shame, because we're not doing enough.
We are, and we have not had it before.
The people in this room are not utilizing their resources to move this country forward in the media and in the government. And that's the next step. That means what? That means when we have a prime minister who finally speaks the truth and stands up for freedom and democracy, we still have elements of our society and our communities that still can't get their head around the fact that you've got a man of principles, a leader who doesn't need a check. That means that people of influence in this room, instead of carping over their breakfast coffee about it's a terrible thing what we're seeing, and let's take the Quebec Israel Committee, or let's take the Canadian Coalition for Democracies, with all of Al Gordon's eloquence. Let them handle it. No, you handle it, because they still will not pick up a phone and call Guy Crevier, who owns La Presse, and they won't call the FDQ, because they have vested business interests, and those vested business interests are more important to them than the future of their country or the future of their children. That's why this group, you're convinced intellectually, I want to give you the anger and the rage to put your lives on the line. It doesn't matter how much more money and success and status you have. You can't live your life as a lamb running between the raindrops in a society that dares not to care, supporting men in government that can't tell right from wrong. It's time to say enough and throw the bastards out and support a political leader at the federal level at least, who at least is talking true. Because in Quebec, it's not happening, and it's not happening in Montreal.
I would still like to see the many wonderful Muslim people who are not fanatics not be afraid to speak up and just to say the same thing these ladies are saying.
Well,
enough is enough.
From your mouth to God's ear, if we find them.
Because we have a lot of Muslims here who are not fanatics.
Inshallah. Inshallah, Habibti, inshallah.
Well, can I make a comment?
I don't know, I'm looking at the timekeeper. Okay, make a comment.
I'm going to make a quick comment because I want you to be ready. Here, the Council on American Islamic Relations just launched a multi-million-dollar commercial in America and in the United States calling not in my name, not in Islam's name, which is what you were talking about. It is nothing more than a ploy by Saudi Arabia and the radicals under the Islamic rule of taqiyya to give the Westerners something they're looking to hear. But do not be deceived because it is not the truth.
I'm just warning you, you're going to be seeing this nonsense commercials airing. Don't put your guards down and think now all the moderates are coming out. These millions are paid for by Saudi Arabia to reform Islam's image in the United States and North America.
People who feel shocked, you've got the last word.
Two short questions. One is,
No,
I was
one
in
short question.
I was in a taxi the other day, Iranian, and I said to him, as you said, 65% of university students are women, and they're thinking people. Do the youth like Ahmadinejad? When are they going to do something to get rid of him? And they said, yes, they like him. The taxi driver said. So I was terribly confused by that. And the other thing is, why, as a Jewish kid of a tiny minority, I'm always confused as to why the Christian church doesn't speak out, doesn't write articles, doesn't speak in the world, in the Christian world, to say what has been done in the Arab countries to rid themselves of Christians and burn churches and build a mosque across the street from the manger, the church in Bethlehem. Why don't they speak out? Why are they could have spoken out 20 years ago before radical Islam was taking over the world. Why don't they not speak out?
Well, as a Christian from the Middle East who survived Islamic terror, the reason why Christians in the West do not speak out because we are not united like the Jews. See, the Christians did not go through a Holocaust as a race like the Jews went through. Only because of that, the Jews came together because they were scattered all around the world. 6 million of them were lost. We, the Christians in Canada could care less about the Christians in Sudan. The Christians in London could care less about the Christians in Bethlehem. And a few years ago, the siege of the Church of the Nativity, the holiest site, the birthplace of Christ, was under siege by Islamists who urinated, defecated in the church, used the Bible as toilet paper, turned the church as a garbage dump. Did you hear a blurb out of the Pope or out of the Vatican? They didn't care. In Lebanon, it was Jewish blood and the blood of the IDF who came and got spilled to defend the Christians in Lebanon, while no one of the Christians in the rest of the world cared. And that's a sad reality, and that's a shame.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bridget Gabriel will be signing books outside. I want to thank everybody for attending, and I want you to leave here with one thought. Never return to being a society of sheep. You'll always get a government of wolves. So you better wake up today.